fat blokes. When I first came into the industry, I had absolutely no intention to train fat blokes. My intention was to train elite athletes, and that I did for many years. And a friend of mine, a guy called Professor Gary Egger, developed a program called Gutbusters. At that time, I was training elite athletes and national and Olympic sporting teams. And I went to one of his seminars at a national conference, and he had this term called Gutbusters, and he's talking about blokes. And after a bit of a conversation, it started to got a bit of curiosity about this Gutbuster program. And long story short, he influenced me to open up the program in Queensland. Now, Gutbusters was a medically based, scientifically based weight loss program for blokes. And to attract the attention of blokes, he named it Gutbusters, not a serious name like health and fitness. It tends to scare most blokes off. The reason why he put the program together was back in the late 80s and early 90s, there was no help available for men. There was lots of programs the government and the health departments were putting together for women, but men were completely neglected. There was nowhere for them to go to deal with their health challenges. And their health challenges weren't even recognised. All the attention was focused on women, women's health, pregnancy, mums, all sorts of stuff. So Gary, being a blokey bloke, was challenged in seeing the change in society, the obesity challenge, well and truly before government recognised it. So he got involved in putting a program together specifically designed for men, because with his research, because he's a specialist in weight loss, and particularly in men, and fat metabolism and so on, that he recognised there's going to be this growing challenge for men, and there's going to be nowhere for them to go. And he also recognised that men suffered the most from disease due to obesity. And I'll explain why throughout today. So he put a program together, and he worked with the New South Wales Health Department, and he put a study together with BHP. And it looked at putting this medically based program together that helped him to lose weight, and trying to tap into the mindset and the thinking of men. The other reason why he picked men is because he found that men are really simple to deal with. He found that women were quite complex to deal with. There was too many moving parts to satisfy all the women. But men seem to have one moving part, and that's probably about it, and generally it's the same moving part with all blokes. So we put this great program together, and I got exposed to a whole new marketplace. And remembering at the time, everything I was doing, I was a gym instructor, personal training in gyms in the fitness industry. I was training elite athletes. I was working in gyms. I just started off a personal training business, which is catering for the general public. And I got exposed to fat blokes. I'm not talking just overweight blokes. I'm talking fat blokes. And it would be a lot today. It would be a morning or a night. And it's a program where it's almost like group therapy. But it wasn't about really counselling. And we'd have a room such as this with 20 blokes, and all of them got these big guts. It's quite extraordinary to see 20 blokes all sitting there with these big watermelons. And what I found is I started having a great time with them. Because a lot of them would never go to the gym. Out of the thousands of guys I put through the program in Queensland, I could probably count 5 blokes who went to the gym, or even consider going to the gym. Because they found the gym was for fit people, fit and thin people. And their mindset is that you have to get fit and thin, plus buy a colourful costume to go to the gym. Most of these blokes lived in the suburbs, and it was quite extraordinary that 90% of them drank beer every single day. So the marketing of the program was, how to lose your gut while drinking beer. So that was very appealing. And when I asked guys why you came to the program, I said, well, this is fantastic because I can drink my beer, because my wife's always telling me to give up my beer to lose my gut, because the mindset was that it was a beer gut. And most of them believed it was a beer gut. And I used to say, well, look, if you put a tap in that gut, beer will not come out. It's not a beer gut. It's what you eat with the beer. So what it is a beer and peanut gut. Not actually a beer gut. And a lot of them were very relieved. And I got exposed to the mindset of men who were, what I found, very much ignorant about health and fitness and how to lose weight. So it's quite an extraordinary growth, learning curve for me to be exposed to a population group which were very different to my circle of influence at the time. And what I realised, my circle of influence at the time, everyone I dealt with, even my clients, were most of them were fit and healthy. They just wanted to lose a little bit of weight or tone up or get a six-pack. And these people had this completely different mindset of their view of health and fitness. So this morning I just want to share a little bit about what I got exposed to, some of the science which I also got involved in, which may help you to relate to blokes. Now, the good thing with blokes is blokes are fairly simple to deal with if you know how to deal with them. Again, as I share, they basically got one moving path, and they're pretty well motivated by simplistic things. And I think in society today we try to make things very complex. Very complex. And I think the solution many times is the fundamental, simple things that you can put into people's lives that's going to make the biggest differences, rather than making the whole process complicated in terms of exercise, in terms of nutrition. And the more complicated you make it, the less likely a bloke's going to do it. So less likely anyone's going to do it, but blokes especially. You make it complex, their mind just shuts off. Bugger it, there's another beer. So the first thing to recognise is blokes are very different than women. And one of the things I learned in that learning curve is a quote which I'll get you to write down. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. And add on to the end of that is bullshit. Next line, treat people the way they would like to be treated. Because what motivates you may not motivate them. Therefore, to find out what motivates them, you have to find out more about them. And what I learned from personal training and the Gutbuster program is that if you want to get clients and you want to keep clients, you have to give them a route. If you want lots and lots of clients, give lots and lots of clients, give them lots and lots of routes. Because the routes they get are the things that make them really happy. And they keep coming back for more routes. And as you already know, a route is not what a lot of people think it is. What is a route? Because a route is A-R-A-U-T. So a lot of this stuff you've already covered. But now you've just got to cover it and apply it to a different population groups. So a route is, what's the first A? Acknowledgement. R is respect. Respect. A, the next A is acceptance. Accept. Then understanding. And the last is touch. I think in any relationship, if you follow those principles, if you always acknowledge them, you respect them, you accept them, then you seek to understand them, then you'll be able to touch them both mentally and physically. Without the first four, the last one's not going to happen. But I think to make the other four effective, it's the understanding that's going to help you the most. Because if you don't understand the population groups, how do you know what to acknowledge? You could be acknowledging the wrong thing. Acknowledging women is very different than acknowledging men. Because men and women are motivated by different things. Acknowledging a D personality is going to be very different than acknowledging an I personality. So first of all, before you get to acknowledgement, it's really important to seek to understand the group that you're dealing with. And in this case, fat blokes. So let's have a look at the things you have to understand about blokes. First thing is to understand is the psychology. And that will help you understand how they think. So if you get a little bit of understanding what makes men tick, and again, men are not that complicated. They're fairly simple to make. Women is very complex, and I'm not going to delve too much into ladies this morning. It's going to be all about blokes. And when I say men, the term men, I mean 80% of men. Because there will be 20% of men don't fit in the 80. Because that 20% would be more wired towards being more like a female. And when I say women, I mean 80% of women, because there will be 20% of women who are more wired to being men. So there might be, you might be in here and you might be in that 20%. And when I was talking this morning, you say, well, that's not the case, because I'm not like that. Well, you may not be like that, because you might be more wired towards the opposite sex. And you know that there are blokes who are really blokes, and then there are blokes who are, bless you, are not quite blokes. You know, they think more a little bit like women. They have better communication skills, they're more nurturing and caring. And there might be women who are not like the normal women. They tend to play golf, you know, because they're more wired towards men. I'll explain why. You know, female athletes seem to be wired towards women. That's what makes them great female athletes, because they're more wired towards being like men. So the first one is psychology. The next one you have to understand is physiology. And that gives you an indication of how their body works, and will help you understand how to get better results from their training. But until you do the psychology, they're not going to do the physiology. Until you work out how they think, you're not going to get them to work the body. Because everything starts with up here, between the ears. Then, once you establish that, then it's important to look at what are their, what I call their habits. What are their habits? Which determines what they do, the things they do. And what's really important is work out how you can change those habits. Because what you find is men are very habitual creatures. They just get into inappropriate habits that lead them down the wrong path. And they're completely oblivious to it. Men tend to be oblivious to a lot of things. And it's not until they get to the end of the road, it's a dead end, they go, well, what happened there? And then once you've worked out that, then you have to work out how to train them. How to train them so they can get results. So as you would probably already notice, particularly the opposite sex will notice, is men are very different than females. And last night's seminar, a couple of the ladies said, wow, now I understand why my husband does this. I've been forcing them to go down the wrong path, and no wonder I'm getting so tired. If you treat a cat like a dog, it's not going to respond. You have to treat a cat like a cat and a dog like a dog, a female like a female and a male like a male. So historically speaking, men and women originate from caveman days, right? The caveman and cavewoman days, cave people, be politically correct. And in that time, we generally have not evolved that much. You know, we're not wearing skins anymore, we're wearing suits and ties, but the way we think and the way we work has not evolved. So we're still set up to be hunters and gatherers. So if you go back to caveman days, what is the main responsibility of a man back in those days? To hunt, right? To hunt. We are the hunter. So our main purpose in life was to hunt. And what was the main responsibility of a woman? Provide, gather, protect the nest. Things have not changed that much the way we think, and we'll go through some examples that little light bulb. You go, well, okay, that's the way I think, and now I understand why my wife or my partner thinks. So the man's responsibility is to hunt. So I want you to imagine a bloke getting up in the morning, and he goes, okay, and he goes, let's go hunting. And he says, his name's Oog. And he turns to his mate, Goog. And the bloke goes, Goog. And Goog goes, yes, Oog. And says, let's go hunting. And Goog goes, okay. And they get their spears, they get their clubs, and off they go. And they walk out. And they walk out and they go past their lady and say, we're going to hunt. Back soon. And off they go. So the first indicator, the first clue there is men tend to use as little words as possible to communicate. After they go hunting, and they tend to go single file, and they travel. And in that journey, they will not speak that very much. They won't speak very much. But they'll eventually get to the hunting grounds, and they'll get there, and they get to the waterhole where the deer and the gazelle have the little drink, and all will go, "Good deer," and off they go. And then they will communicate across the waterhole. They get downwind, they sneak up to the deer, and then they get their club or their spear, and they chop, boom, and they hit the deer goes down. And Oog goes up to the deer, puts his foot on the deer, hunted. Good comes up, looks at the deer and says, "Good throw. Thanks." They pick up the deer and off they go home. They put the deer down in the campsite, and the lady will go, "What a wonderful catch." "Thanks." And they'll go and sit around the fire, and sit there and look into the fire and fire stare. Job done. Hunter, how good. And they feel happy because they have this great sense of achievement. They seeked, they chased, they chucked, they hit, they killed. Great hunter, Lion King of the plains, the savannah. Very happy. I'll get a phone call. Might be B. Hughes Ben. B. Hughes Ben rings up. Kman, says, "Yes, Ben." Says, "Golf, Hogholler, this weekend." "Okay. 7 o'clock tee off." "Good." I pick up my clubs, because we still call them clubs. Because I'm a hunter. I get my clubs, and off I go. B. Hughes and we get there, I get on the tee off, and I go, and it's a straight down the shot, right down the fairway. Wow. And it's a par 3, it hits the green, spins near the hole. And Hughes, you go, "Good shot." I go, "Thanks." Hughes gets up, he hooks it right into the lake. a million miles. It's the most incredible chuck in the wrong direction. I sit at the back and I say, "Good shot." "Good shot." He says, "Piss off." Then we walk down the fairway and we walk. And you look at blokes and they walk down the fairway. They don't say very much. We get to the parts where he has to go off and I say, "See you on the green." So things haven't changed very much. Because a hunter back then hunted live, wild animal. A hunt today, because we don't actually have to hunt, because we raise cattle and we grow wheat and all sorts of stuff, therefore the man's role is no longer as significant as it used to be. Our role is not even, women don't even need us anymore. Because they're the police to protect the women, and you have society to protect the women, because that was our role back then. So man now lives his hunting fantasies through sport. Because if you look at sport, sport is hunting. There is something to hit, and somewhere to hit it to, and you have to get it there as close and as quickly as possible. And there will be adversity. Now, we no longer wrestle the wild tiger. Now we wrestle Newcastle last night, trying to beat Newcastle, being the Brisbane Broncos. So the wild tiger now is Newcastle front row forward. So it satisfies. That's why men love sport. Men just love sport. They will sit there and watch it forever. Because sport is all about hunting. And a lot of women don't quite understand that. But that's how men are wired. Why? We're still basically hunters. If you see a kid in a park and they're by themselves, they'll find things to throw. They just, "Oh, well, look at this. There's a kookaburra. What if I can hit it?" Girls will never do that. When I was a kid and I was bored, I used to rock my neighbour's roof. I'd get there and try to hit the chimney. Then the neighbours would come out looking for, then I'd go running up the street, they'd chase me, then I'd sneak around the other side of the house and start chucking things. So we're chucking competitions, because that's just built into our system. Also understanding that that's why men have this incredible ability to just get something, and if I say I want you throw this and hit that chair, most blokes will just throw it and they'll tend to hit it. It's just natural. We're great at judging distances, angles and speeds, and we're intrigued by it. A bloke could go to the cricket all day, watch the cricket, go home at night and watch the replay. A lot of blokes don't understand that. But it's not about the game, it's about the angles. We just want to see that Shane Warne spin ball game. And isn't that amazing how that angle hit that and went that way and hit the stumps? That's like a fantastic, you threw the spear, hit the wind, turned around a tree and hit the gazelle. Man, that's a great chuck, man. That's just incredible. So men just love that type of stuff. That's why we're really good at that focused. And I guess the point where I'm getting to is that men are very focused. They become very focused and they lock into a target. And nothing tends to distract them from that target. You know, a man is focused on going somewhere down the hallway to the bathroom and they'll step over the dirty washing on the ground and they won't even see it. Why? Because when you focus on your prey, nothing else is relevant. And ladies, on the other hand, have this amazing ability to have this peripheral vision. And they have that because when they're protecting the nest, they have to be able to do multiple things: gather, cook, look after the kids, plus have these sensors out there to feel when predators enter the nest. Hence, women have this ability to sense things. When men don't sense things, they just see. They just see things, and they either attack it and kill it. But women will just feel things. And we know that, you know, if you're sleeping at night with your partner, a man sleeps in the bottom of the ocean and a woman sleeps on the surface of the ocean. So when a man goes to sleep, he's dead to the world. A woman will go, "What's that noise?" And we'll go, "What?" Because those senses of something's not right. Man will go, "Listen, not hear it," and he says, "It's nothing, go to sleep." If I don't hear it, it doesn't exist. Men see things, women feel things. But over time, the male will resist getting out of bed because our focus and our target at that particular time is what? Sleep. So my purpose in life is sleep, and we do it great. Well, women will be sleeping at night and their mind will be going crazy. And when they put electrodes to the brain of a male, when they go to sleep, their mind, their brain is dormant. There's nothing on. The lights are off. When a woman goes to sleep, their mind, the electrodes go. So all this activity is still going on because they've got this amazing ability to multitask. They can do multiple things at all at the same time. You look at when the blokes at a barbecue, they'll be out there at the barbie and there'll be 4 blokes around the barbecue and they'll be looking, "So Joseph, you can get up and you can come to my barbie." So Joseph's there, we're at the barbie and I'm the tong master. I've got the tongs and we're looking at we tend to look at the snakes. What about that storm, eh? The Melbourne storm. Yeah. This guarantees Cronulla ain't going to be wooden spooners, huh? True. Yeah. You want a beer?
Yeah.
All right, go and get me one then. Now, at the same time, give a hand for Jason. At the same time in the kitchen, all the women in the kitchen, what are they doing? All talking at the same time, doing multiple things, cutting the salad, looking after the kids, on the phone, got something on the stove, something on the TV, and the blokes will be there and they go, "Oh, mate, listen to it." And then they go, "I heard that." We go, "How did I hear that?" So many times the bloke would go out with their wife to a party and the wife would go, did you hear in on their conversation? They're having challenge and you hear that? And the bloke goes, What? I didn't hear anything. Because men only hear what they see. So here's the first clue when training a bloke. If they're not looking at you, they're not listening to you. Because men don't have the ability to multitask. They can't even look in a different direction and hear something from a different direction. Their eyes in one way, their ears another way. It doesn't work. If a bloke's watching TV and you're talking to them, they're not listening. On the other hand, if a woman's doing 10,000 things, she's listening to everything. And that's that ability to protect the nest and make sure everything's okay at home. So in relative to training a bloke, their communication is, if you're not actually eye contacting them, or they're not looking at you, it's probably unlikely they're listening to you. And it's not that they don't want to listen to you, it's just they just have this limited ability to do two things at once. We can't multi-track. And that's because the connections between the left brain and the right brain, a woman have this greater connection between the two sides of the brain, and they can do multiple things. So when they do electrodes, women, there's things going on, but when men do a task, one part of the brain goes off and everything else shuts down. So they really focus on what they're doing. So from a communication point of view, it's really important to understand that, because if a male doesn't hear you or you don't engage his attention, he's not going to be listening to you. The other thing with what you probably noticed with Jason and myself standing by the barbecue, men are side-on communicators. Notice we're side by side? Men like side-on communication. The reason for that is because we have limited peripheral vision, where women have a 25% greater peripheral vision than men. They can see out here. Men have this restricted tunnel vision. And men, if they're going to be chatting in a room, they tend to face the entrance. You never see two blokes facing this way. Because now the entrance is a possibility of being attacked from behind. So a male standing here will feel uncomfortable with his back to the entrance. Even if we know there's no tigers or bears or whatever it might be today, but still instinctively it's like, ooh. So they'll always face this way. When Jason and I are here, he'll face that way. So I've got this way covered. He's got that way covered. We both have views. We have all of this angle covered. Men don't like front-on communication. For two reasons. If Jason, you get back up again. If we're having a chat, you look at me, I look at you, I can't see anything out here. So we can be attacked from anywhere. But any time men have front-on communication, there's a confrontation. So if we're going to have a confrontation, it would be, okay, mate, what did you say about my car? Hey. So from a body language point of view, if a bloke's having a go at you and they're side on to you, you come on eye over and they're facing this way, they're not serious. Right? There's this all bark, no bite. But if a bloke opens himself up and he opens up his jacket, he gives the opportunity for the first hit. Okay, now this is when you say, you win. Because he means business. Because now all my focus is to attack. So when you're training a bloke, a good lesson is never be face-on communication. Women love front-on communication because it's the way women engage and communicate. They can also feel and see everything around them. Thank you, Dave. So what that means, if Sandra's going to be training me, positioning yourself on a desk like this is a good thing. But the ideal position for me in this relationship would be me being in Sandra's chair. Why would that be the case? Because I can see. So if she wants to make me feel really comfortable, and I won't understand why I feel uncomfortable. Where I am with Jace, that would be very uncomfortable. So if I'm training Jace, right, and you're there, you're going to feel uncomfortable. I'll put me there and you here, because now you see the entrance. And you just feel more comfortable. If you go out to a restaurant with your partner, ladies always give the bloke the chair that faces the entrance. They'll feel more comfortable. Because if you take the chair that faces the entrance and the bloke takes the chair that faces the wall, the bloke's always going to be fine. He's always going to be wondering what's going on behind me. What's going on behind me? Now there's a two-way thing there. The other challenge with men is that because we have such tunnel vision, any movement outside our vision grabs our attention. We don't know what it is, but we see this thing out here and we just can't help ourselves. We go, what is it? So men, if there's movement, we just So from a male trainer point of view, you being a trainer, make sure that if you're in the gym, a bit of movement in the TV, you just naturally want to look at it. And when you take your eyes off your client, what does that give the impression? You don't care. So if you're going out with your partner to a restaurant, my suggestion for a bloke is face the wall. That way you're not going to be distracted, particularly if there's another female walking by. You look at the female and all of a sudden, oh, geez. You don't mean to look at her. Well, sometimes you do. But sometimes any form of movement tends to distract you. So the first thing with blokes, whether it be blokes or fat blokes, is to understand they're going to be very tunnel vision. Men seem to be tunnel vision, and positioning in the gym is going to be really important. So that means if you train them on the treadmill, don't stand in front of them. Stand beside them. If you're training a female, you can train in front of them, but for bloke, on the side. In the consultation, if you're sitting down, think of where's going to be the best position to feel them comfortable. Because if they're comfortable, the more comfortable they'll feel in your circle of influence, the more likely they will stay with you. So from a psychological point of view, men think very simplistically. What drives men is achievement. Because their measurement of success from hunter and gatherer days is whether they can hunt and achieve something, catch. Men love achievement. They like the start and the finish, and they like completion. They're not so much get excited by the process, as long as they get achievement. And they go through some simple things that will be helpful when you train blokes. So from a training point of view, make sure that they're always achieving. Not setting themselves up for a failure. So from a programming point of view, get them to achieve little things will make them want to achieve the big things. The other thing with men, they like to achieve and they like to be acknowledged. They like to achieve and they like to be acknowledged. So look for ways to acknowledge, applaud good things in a bloke. Look for things to acknowledge. Now, what are some things that you can acknowledge in a bloke?
Technique.
Yeah, from a training point of view? Yeah, their skill, their technique, great form. Great form. That's like me saying to Huge, great swing. Great chuck. Oh, thank you. I did that again. Great form. Great power. Strong movement. Wow. Gee, you look strong. Yeah. You look strong. Men love those words. Why? Because that's a hunting word. Look at those guns. Oh, really? And they flex it. And even with fat blokes, do you understand fat blokes are still hunters? They've just been, probably in the pastures for too long. But inside, they still think they're hunters. They think they're still the young athlete, the young lion that's maybe been in the pasture for too long. So things you notice from a dress point of view, men would be ties, if they've got shiny shoes. If you can see they spend a lot of time with their hair, which is now a thing, because blokes never used to spend time with hair, but now it's a thing, product. Then you say, hey, geez, your hair's, this is fantastic. If the hair's a thing. But don't do the hair thing if you can see they don't really spend much time on their hair. For example, if you look at my hair, you would say, well, great hair, because it's not really complicated, is it? It's just really short and I spike it up, and that's about it. But someone sort of spends a lot of time with it. So look for things on people to compliment. And make sure it's not just, geez, you look good. It has to be attached to something. Because if you just say, geez, you look good, that's flattery, because it's not really attached to anything of significance, anything tangible, measurable. Write this down. The best way to be remembered is to give somebody a compliment. The best way to be remembered is to give someone a compliment. Okay, everyone standing up. What I want you to do is go around and meet at least 3 people and give them a compliment about something about them. Their hair, their glasses, whatever it might. Could be their smile, could be their guns, could be their pecs. Off we go.
We've done the breakfast together.
We did. Okay, so a few guide nuggets from that is that men think differently to women. We're more focused. We don't have peripheral vision. So positioning is really important for when you're training a bloke, whether it be in the initial consultation or whether it be training them in the gym. The other thing about blokes is they're still hunters. So look for things to acknowledge to make them feel like a hunter. Acknowledge their achievements. Acknowledge their achievements. Wow, you're obviously really successful in business. Wow, that was a strong movement. Wow, you obviously used to be a very successful footballer. Tell me more about that. So acknowledge their achievements, and then they'll want to achieve more. Little things will lead to big things. So acknowledge the little things, and that will encourage them to accomplish the big things. And it doesn't always have to be a result. It can be still acknowledging the process. You're obviously very dedicated to your exercise program. That's fantastic to see. You're obviously very dedicated to eating lots of fattening buns. No. So the first part is acknowledgement, respect, and acceptance. So if you find out about them, then you acknowledge them for the things they've done, or who they are, or what they stand for. It means you're showing respect for them. Here's a great way to communicate, to make sure that you drop all the barriers in communication. Put yourself in a position where you never judge other people, or never judge things they do, or never judge things. Because judgment leads to barriers, it leads to prejudice. You never understand what you judge, you never get what you judge. Remove judgment from your life and it will open up all the doors of opportunity. If you judge someone because they're fat, are they going to want to train with you? Because what will come off your sparky bits? Judgment. No one wants to be judged. And many times we judge the differences. Because we don't understand them, we judge them. Whether those differences might be the colour of the skin, our religion, our politics, our culture, our upbringing, our thoughts, our beliefs, our convictions. That brings barriers. If you want to be a great trainer, you have to drop all those judgments. So what I found initially, until I got exposed to big blokes, I used to always want to train athletes, and anyone outside athletes I wasn't interested in training, because to me they were just fat lazy people. Therefore, how many people do they train? None. It was just trained athletes. But until I started judging or dropping that judgment, then I started to attract people into my circle of influence or my personal training business, because they felt comfortable with me because they know I wasn't judging them. The other part to open up the doors of communication is to forgive. So never judge and always forgive. There's a great leader who is famous for never judging and always forgiving. He's probably one of the most famous people in the world. His name was Jesus. Now whether you're religious or not, that doesn't matter. But he does have a pretty good reputation. You'd feel pretty comfortable sharing your dirty laundry with him, right? Because you know he's not going to judge you and he'll forgive you. So if you're a personal trainer and you can put yourself in that category or that mindset, then people are going to feel comfortable with you. Big fat blokes who want to train, no matter who they are. Accept people for who they are, and then you can have an influence in helping them become who they want to be. But you first have to accept who they are first. And then seek to understand. Seek to understand their life, their situation. You have to get involved in their world to change the world. You can't do it from the outside in, you have to do it from the inside out. And seeking to understand is you're going to have to ask questions. The best way to understand is to ask questions. So very few people are good at asking questions, including myself. But what I want you to do is I want you to listen for the passion. Listen for the passion. Many times, a lot of people say it's hard to communicate with blokes because they're so closed. Well, they're closed because you're asking them the wrong things. All you have to do is ask them that's going to bring their passions to the surface. So I'm going to share some really great questions for you, and you have to listen to the answer. Very few people listen to the answer. They ask the question, they don't listen to the answer. Many times when someone answers a question, what's embedded in that question is a clue. What's embedded in the answer is a clue. You've got to listen to the clues. If someone asks you a question, they're not really asking questions. Because very few people ask you questions. They ask you a statement disguised as a question. For example, if I say to Jace, I said, Jace, you been to Europe?
No.
You haven't? Oh. What am I really asking?
Would you like to know about it when I...
Yeah. What I'm really asking is, I've been to Europe. Ask me about my European trip. You been to Europe?
No.
So I'm asking you to ask me. Because I'm giving you permission to ask me about a topic which I'm embedded in my question. Ask me.
Have you been to Europe?
I have. I love Europe. Have you been?
No.
Do you want to go?
Yeah.
Where do you want to go? What is it now got? I'm opening him up. He put Europe in his question because that's a passionate topic for him. So many times someone asks a question, you acknowledge the question but don't actually answer it. You been to Europe? Yes, I have. I love Europe. So acknowledgement. I love Europe. Tell me about it. Do you want to go to Europe? No. Go, well, yes. Yes, I do. Blah, 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 and it goes. But if someone asks you, do you want to go to Europe? Have you been to Europe? It's either because they're going, they want to go, or they've been. So you've got to flick it back and ask them about, do you watch football on the weekend? No. What game did you watch? Well, I watched the Broncos and the Newcastle. Wow, tell me what happened. Why did I ask you if you watched the football? I asked you whether you watch football because I watch the football. You know what people do? They answer it. You watch the football? No. And then you ask them, what have you been up to? And they say, nothing. Because that's the same really silly question. What have you been up to? Nothing. Wrong question. What was the most exciting thing you did in the weekend? Better question. Because it's pinpointing it. Here's a great question. Ready for this one? You've got to ask questions that bring the passion to the surface. What would be your perfect day? Share with me what would be your perfect day. And what are they going to share in that day? All the things they love. What they're going to give you is probably 5 to 10 things to ask them more questions about. Well, the perfect day for me would be getting out nice and early and taking the dog for a walk. And after I take the dog for a walk, I'd do a bit of cleaning up. I work in the tool shed for a little while, work on my little project in there, and then I get the wife and we'll go out for breakfast. We have a nice bit of a late breakfast. Then we might go to the movies. We'll go to the movies and see the movies. Then after the movies we'll come back and I'll watch the football. And then after football we'll have a romantic dinner. And then we'll do blah, blah. Okay, so what's embedded in that day? What can you ask questions about now? Dogs, walking, exercise, breakfast, what with the project in the tool shed. Each one of them is probably a good day's worth of chatting. Lunch, I like lunch. Where do you go for lunch? How many questions have I got in that? Just by asking the right question. Share with me what your top most memorable meals are. Because meals seem to be attached to an event and occasion. So the meal is just the door to get to the event, to the occasion. Well, the most memorable meal is when I had a meal on the cliffs of Santorini in the Greek islands. Wow, tell me about it. Who were you with? If you had the day off, what would you do? The greatest compliment you can give somebody is to ask their opinion and advice. So once you get a bit of information about them, hey, you're obviously a fantastic parent. If you could share with me the 3 key things that make a great parent, because I'd like to become a parent one day, what would they be? And what are they now going to be giving you? Their opinion and advice on parenting. So this is just all basic communication. Hey, if you were the coach of that football team, who would you put in your team? What would be your strong rugby league team if they follow rugby league? And what are they going to do? Give you a massive opinion of who should be in the team. So this is linking into their passions. Simple, basic communication stuff. So write down 3 good open questions that you think you could ask. So let's have a look at this quickly before we get into it. What are the 4 things that men think about most? Food, sport, sex, career. So great open questions to, if you own the company, what would you do? Hey, you're obviously very successful in business. As you know, I have a small business and I like to make it a very successful business. If you had to share 3 things that's going to help a small business become a great business, what would they be? You know where most of my mentors came from? My clients. Me asking them questions about their businesses. And they were quite happy to help me, because when someone asks for your advice and opinion, they love to give it because it satisfies the human need of contribution. It's just natural. People like to help. So write down these 2 good questions, 2 great questions, that's going to open up the doors to reveal the passion. When you get the passion, ask more questions about the passion. If you keep drilling into the passion, it will take you to the promised land. The promised land is the things they love to talk about, that no one else wants to listen to. Let alone no one else asks about. Did you go to football on the weekend? Oh yes, I did. Well, that's good, and that's as far as it goes. Well, tell me who played, and tell me about the game, and hey, if you're the coach, what would you do? Food? You like food? Yeah, I love food. Tell me if... Look, I'm new to the area. What would be the top 3 restaurants in the area? Well, and what? Blah, 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 blah. The other day was it just yesterday, we were driving in a taxi to the Sydney airport, and George, taxi driver, and everyone has an opinion. Have you noticed that? Says, so George, are you starting the day, middle of the day, finish the day? Oh, we're knocking off, really? Yep, because he got a phone call from a mate of his. And I listened to the phone call, and I says, yeah, I'm finishing off now. And I says, so you're finishing off? Yeah, normally knock off at 12. And but I thought I'd take you to the airport because you seem to be in a real hurry. She says, George, thank you so much for giving up your own free time to take me to the airport. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, that's right, mate. Oh, I'll help you out. So what are you going to do to knock off? Well, actually, Ro had some mint, mint things. And Ro said, would you like mint? He says, oh, no, I'm about to have lunch. Really? Where are you going to have lunch? Oh, I'll go in there. Well, what's the best place to have lunch? Well, this place, blah, blah, blah. And he gave a card. And he went on about this place. Yeah, they have seafood, and they have calamari, and who's off? Like a frog in a sock. He was just going off about the food. It's not very hard. You just got to listen to the answer and ask another question about the answer. But in that answer will be embedded a clue of what people want to talk about. The challenge is we don't listen. We're too busy thinking about the next thing we want to say rather than listen to the answer, which will reveal what to ask. So think of a great question that you could ask. Who's got one for us? We'll go through three great questions.
I've got one.
Yeah.
We were actually talking about this last week. Men, of course, in the office, born out of our eggs. What's the greatest sporting match you've ever watched? It's got to be very specific.
Yeah, exactly right. Greatest sporting match that you've ever watched.
That lasted all day.
Who's got another one? Yeah.
Out of any sport in the world, what would be your top 3?
What would be your top 3? Yeah. And why? So once you get that, and you say, why is that? Why is that? Yep. Okay, everyone stand up. Go and find someone. I want you to ask them a great open question and try to listen to the answer and find a bit of a clue in the answer. Ask another question about it. Off we go. Find someone.
I'll ask you.
So you have to look at how you give more than what you expected, and they'll make them go, wow, they'll always come back and go, wow.
And it's one of the things that you would do with your clients, make them go well.
Steve. Pleasure. Okay, just to wrap up that session, I was just sharing with Sandra. When I was a personal trainer, I always had two questions I asked myself at the end of every training session of how successful that training session was. And it had nothing to do with the bench press. Even though I always made sure in that session that they did a personal best of something. A personal best of something. I talk more about that in training. It means they achieved something. They walk out and go, wow, I knocked that one on the head. Wow, I hit that one on the head. If I had a game of golf, it'd be huge. I could lose the game, but if I get one great shot in, it gives me hope. See, I can have all these bad shots. If I get one great shot, I go, wow, how good was that? And you can always come back to that one great shot. So in personal training someone, you have to give them that one great thing. They go, wow, that was a great bench press. Wow, that was a great row. I did an extra rep, an extra set. I did an extra 5 kilograms on the bar, something like that. The other two questions I always ask myself is, how much did they laugh? Because blokes laugh a good laugh. How much did they laugh? Because if they laugh and they had a good time, when people come back to where they have a good time. Or cry, which is not very often, but if they cry, that's good too. That means they trust you to cry and share with you. But you find most blokes won't cry. How much of the laugh? And the second question is, how much more do I know about them they didn't know before? About their passion. Because if they share a little bit of them with you, they'll come back to you to get them. They share a little bit about them with you, they'll always come back to you to get them, because they left them with you. So you always go back to where you are. And if they shared more stuff about them, that means they trust you more. Therefore eventually become that trustworthy person that they like, have a good laugh with, get great achievements out of their training session that leads them to the end result. Understand that blokes are hunters, so you just have to make sure you satisfy those needs of a hunter. Ladies training a bloke, train a bloke like a bloke. Be a bit more blokey with blokes. Always have a joke of the day because blokes like jokes. Blokes love jokes. And when they trust you, they share stuff. One thing I found with the gut busters, these guys get together and they just love to have a good laugh. They love to have a good laugh. And they have a light-hearted approach to most things. And men are very simple and they're very, very logical in what they think. Very logical in what they think. They get together and they'll, I remember one if they lose a bit of weight, measurement off their gut, they go, oh yeah, I lost 5 centimetres off the gut. How good is that? Real sense of achievement. And then they have a joke about it. Says, oh, so that's fantastic. You're really happy about that? Yeah, well, actually, Kman, the best thing about this week is that it was the first time I've seen my dick for the last 5 months. I see the little fella popping his head out there over the belly. He says, mate, that's good. Thank you for that. I'll take your word for it. I don't need to see it. He says, well, the other great thing is the smaller my gut gets, the bigger my dick looks. How cool's that? So when you build their trust, they're just right up front about things. So talking about guts, as you already know, that men are physiologically different. Psychologically different. We'll look at how you put them in the training. Physiologically different. Men and women carry fat in different places. Where men tend to carry fat? In the gut. We call it the patio at the playground. And where women tend to carry fat? Around the hips and the thighs. Now, why do men carry the fat in the gut? First of all, the fat source, a larger fat source, more metabolically active, means it releases fat into the bloodstream very easily to get blood into the bloodstream, to get to the working muscles, to give energy for hunting. So we store it there because it's accessible and it's easy to access to get to the working muscles to hunt. So it's like a little spare pack of sandwiches we take with us hunting. The challenge with these days, guys are going around full buffets. We're going for a long hunting trip, and it should be a real long one. The challenge today, we don't physically hunt, so we don't actually burn it off. But men still experience the stresses of life, and the stresses aren't necessarily the tiger running into the campsite or fighting off the grizzly bear. The stresses now are bills and kids and family and jobs and careers. So you have all these external pressures, but you still get the same internal reaction to the external pressures. And those internal reactions is positioning the body in a place where it's ready for fight or flight, which is a hunter response. But we're not fighting from a tiger, we're fighting from our argument, career, bill. And what happens is the body prepares it for action. So it releases the fat from the fat cell into the bloodstream to get ready for action. But we don't take action anymore. Our version of hunting now is calling the pizza shop on the phone. They deliver to you. When the doorbell rings, you say, "Darling, can you get the door and bring me the pizza?" That's as physical as it gets. So a little pack of sandwiches goes into a lunchbox full of sandwiches to a feeding a small nation with some sandwiches. But the challenge is it releases into the bloodstream, clogs up the arteries and leads to coronary heart disease, late onset diabetes, certain cancers, gallstones, high cholesterol, high blood sugar levels. And that's related to the waist measurement. So the first goal for a male, because fat around the waist is quite dangerous, so the first goal for a male is to make sure their waist is below 100 centimetres, puts them in the lower risk of coronary heart disease. Women, on the other hand, carry fat around the hips and the thighs. And what's that for? Provide energy for 9 months of pregnancy. Carry it under the arms for lactation. Provide energy for milk production. The fat cell of a woman is a smaller fat cell. It's more metabolically restrictive, holds onto fat far more effectively. Therefore, it resists, and pre-menopause it resists. Therefore, women don't suffer from coronary heart disease to the capacity that the male does. Men have twice the mortality rate from coronary heart disease than women. So it's safe fat. It's check hard of the shift, and it's supposed to be there. But going back to men, it's easy to shift, which is a good thing. So the physiology of fat cell is easy to shift for a male. They'll get fairly fast results. And the gut busters got fast results. So she used to really irritate their wives. And their wives got so uppity about nationwide, they wanted us to develop a women's only program, and we call it the New You program, but there's a lot of resistance to it because women, it's more psychological, where men, it's more habitual of why they get fat. I'll talk more about that when we look at habits. So it's important to understand fat. Where's the first place in the body that you store fat? The tongue. So you get little fat tongues, little fat blokes, you get fat tongues. Imagine they go out in the evening, they have a few wines, their mouth is relaxed, their jaw's relaxed, they go home with a little fat tongue, they go to sleep, and a little fat tongue falls back into their mouth and starts to obstruct airflow into the lungs, and they get this little snoring gene. Ladies, remember it, men don't hear it. It's like I said with the orchestra, it starts nice and easy, then it builds up. Then it leads to a climax. What's happening is your tongue's obstructing airflow or oxygen into your lungs, so the body says, I'm not getting any oxygen. I'm going to die. I don't want to die. Wake up. So a man who snores can wake up to 300 times a night, but he won't remember any of them. His wife will remember all of them before he knows he's on the couch. But they're not big ones. Sometimes he's those little ones, you know. So what that is obstructed sleep patterns. So the body never gets into deep sleep, which is the deep sleep is the one that gives most of the regeneration. So the bloke wakes up in the morning, think they've had 8 hours, 10 hours sleep, and they wonder why they're feeling so tired, because they never got into the deep sleep. So it's a major challenge in particularly guys who drive buses and trucks. They're not getting good sleep, even though they're getting good hours, but there's not good sleep in those good hours. Therefore they fall asleep 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If they happen to be driving a truck, that's a major challenge. Major challenge is productivity in the workplace, and from a health point of view. I remember I was doing a seminar for one of the, there's a gut buster seminar. One of the bloke comes up and he says, you know, I've been to one of those sleep clinics, and they worked out I actually wake up every 3 minutes. He goes to sleep in the sleep clinic, they monitor him. And he looked a mess. But the first thing they do for people who have challenges with sleep is to look at your diet and lose weight. It also affects erectile function. First thing, if you suffer from impotence, they'll look at release, because what we found is the greater the waist measurement, the lower the testosterone, which is quite the opposite of what we think. So there seems to be this inverse relationship with the gut size and the testosterone. So that can affect sexual performance. So a lot of sexual clinics will make sure that you lose weight. You want to increase sexual performance, lose the body fat. It tends to have an effect. Where's the place in the body that you don't store fat? Eyelids. Parts of the brain, the esophagus, and the male penis. It sort of takes away from the slang term we have for the male erection, doesn't it? But cracking skinny. Cracking skinny. There's nothing bad about it, really. So a couple of things about that. Women, on the other hand, they find it hard to lose the fat because it's more restrictive, but it's safe. No woman's ever died from big hips. What's your diet, Doc? Big hips, or big hip syndrome. It may be undesirable from what your perception of what a woman should look like, but that's how a woman should be, by the way. Women are supposed to have childbearing hips. So men carry here, and the interesting thing is that you find that men tend to carry it there, but sometimes not other places. And I get to some of the challenges when people look at training and trying to shift fat. The other thing with men is that they also have the ability to burn it because they tend to have a bigger engine, which is muscles, because muscles are there for hunting. So if we can get those muscles activating, those engines activating, where's fat burn off? It's burn off in the muscles. And with age, through the process of sarcopenia, the loss of muscle tissue with age, which is around about 0.5 pound per year after the age of 20, so every decade the average bloke will lose about 5 pounds of muscle. And considering that every pound of muscle per day burns off 50 calories, you find over 10 years, that's 5 pounds, that's 250 calories less energy they're burning off in that decade. So 250 calories a day adds up to a fair bit. So hence they wonder, well, I'm still eating the same, I'm still living the same, but I'm actually putting on fat now. The reason why, because your engine has gone from this jet engine at 20 years of age, where everything just turns up. When I was 20 years of age, I didn't have to do it. I could eat and do what I want, and my jet engine, no matter what I put in, just burn it off in the furnace. By the time you get to age 30, it gets down to a V8. By 40, it's down to a 6-cylinder. By 50, it's down to a little Jazz or Hyundai Sprint. And by 60, down to a two-stroke lawnmower. Trying to burn off the fuel you're putting in as if it's a jet engine. So you're still feeding like a jet engine, but it's a two-stroke lawnmower. Here's a simple advice from an energy point of view. If you eat more, move more. If you eat less, you can move less. And we'll talk about more of that in exercise. But the first thing we want to do is get the engine up. Build the muscle back. Because that determines the metabolic rate, which is happening throughout the entire day. We'll talk about that in programming and fitness training. Ladies don't have that ability. They can still increase their revs in the engine by weight training. But men, they can rev them up easy. And we also have the hormonal environment that's going to be conducive for activity. So we have a high level of testosterone, human growth hormone, that revs up the metabolism and energy. So from a physiological point of view, men have all these advantages to increase their ability to lose weight. It doesn't mean that women don't, but it seems to come a lot easier for a male. The other thing with men, we understand their psychology, how they think. We start to understand a bit more about their physiology, knowing that we can actually get some great results with a bloke. Now, the reason why men tend to put weight on is because they tend to get into poor habits. And they become oblivious to those habits. And those habits tend to develop slowly. Roy was just on the Biggest Loser not long ago. And you think, how does someone get from a normal size 60, 70 kilograms to one day waking up in the morning they're 200 kilograms plus? How do they put on that much weight and be a contestant on the Biggest Loser? I have an answer for you. Are you ready for this? How do they put on the weight? Slowly. It's very subtle. It doesn't happen overnight. If it happened overnight, they'll shock themselves so much they'll probably get out and do something. Oh my God, what happened? But because it happens slowly, people get comfortable with their discomfort. So they just adapt to their new environment. And because it's a slow change, they get comfortable with it. They slowly get comfortable with a bigger pant size. They slowly get comfortable with a bigger belt size. They slowly get comfortable by going from medium to a large. They slowly get comfortable with adapting how to get onto the couch and off. They slowly get adaptable with how they play with their kids. They slowly adapt their golf swing to accommodate for their belly. They slowly adapt. It doesn't happen quickly, it happens slowly. Now, why women and men put on fat seems to be different. Women tend to put it on because it's emotional. It seems to be more emotional. Women are more emotional eaters. They'll have a fight with their boyfriend and they'll say, bugger it, and they'll eat that chocolate bar. They'll go out and have a coffee with their girlfriend and it'll tend to be emotional. And I'm not going to go down that path. Too many moving parts. But the first thing for all ladies is you have to go from emotion to logic. Men are very logical creatures. We think very logically. From a communication point of view, we only speak if there's a point to it. We only talk if there's a point to it. Logical. Why would I say something if there's nothing to say? We use as little words as possible to communicate. But we tend to get into poor habits, and we don't realise it. So the first thing with a male when you're training a fat bloke is to get him to identify his habits. Become a habit stalker. Give a little journey and identify your habits. And those habits could be that they, when they're watching TV, they start to eat. If they're having the beer, they start eating the beer nuts. Did they want the beer nuts before they had the beer? Probably not. It's just after they had the beer nuts because it's there. Men tend to eat because it's there. If you sit down and you're having a meal and you put a little bowl of food in the male, he'll finish it. He won't stop halfway. That means he failed. I have to finish the bowl. They finish the bowl. I'm an achiever. I finish the bowl. You give him a bigger bowl, what do we do with it? He'll finish it. You give him a bucket, what do we do? He'll keep going until he finishes it. Because you can't. I can't not half. Geez, that's not achieving, that's losing. So the first thing you do is probably just start to get a smaller bowl, you finish it, and they go, job done. How good's that? And if you have food on the table, oh, I better finish that too. Why? Because it's there. If you say, would you like seconds? Absolutely. Why? Because that's an achievement. So they achieve things in their eating habits. All you've got to do is change the habit. Change the accessibility of food in those circumstances where they'll just have a habit of having a snack with their coffee, having a beer nuts with their beer, eating some food while watching TV. When they go to the movies, they have popcorn. The only place in the world they have popcorn is the movies. Why? Because it's a habit. They don't go and eat popcorn at home or a chocolate bar. They eat it when... So you've got to identify those circumstances when those habits are occurring. And blokes are beautiful because all you need to do with a bloke is get them to be aware of their habits. The other thing with habits and blokes is it's important to educate them. Men like to be educated. If they have the education, they know the knowledge, they'll act on it. A classic example, working with a gut bus, one of the gut buses came and says, Kerry, I have a good week. I've replaced butter with margarine. How good's that? I said, that's fantastic. Well done. You're making some steps to the right way where you want to go. I said, well done. Fantastic. Good job. I said, thank you. I'm just curious. So when you ask a confronting question, you always soften it by, I'm just curious. Are you aware that margarine has just as much fat as butter? And you know what they say? Shit, eh? Well, stuff that, I'm not having that. So look, if you want to cut down on your butter, just cut down. That's okay. Just halve it if you like your butter. You know what blokes will say? No, stuff it, I drop it. Men tend to be all or nothing. All you've got to do is give them the right information, make a decision of all or nothing, and they'll just go, nothing. So when they make that decision, they go for it. All you've got to do is give them the right information to make the decision on, and they go for it. If when you're educating a bloke, all you need to do, the best way to educate a bloke is what we call assumed knowledge.
Sorry.
Assumed knowledge. No one wants to be told what to do, particularly a bloke. Men hate to be told what to do. But if you give them a compliment for the knowledge they don't have, then they'll take that knowledge when you give it to them. Hey George, as you already know, olive oil is 100% fat, and it goes directly to the fat cell. So when you're having olive oil, you already know that, make sure that because it's olive oil and healthy, you still have limited amounts of olive oil, don't you? And he goes, yeah. And then you say, I thought so. So at the end, I should confirm that he knew the knowledge. Did he know that olive oil was 100% fat? No. What I say is, George, as you already know, and where's George go? Yeah. I've given him the compliment of what he doesn't know, which he's accepted the compliment. Now he wants to know to justify the compliment. Because once I give him the compliment, he's not going to give it back and say, well, actually, I don't know that. Take that compliment back. Because men will take the compliment. Yes, as I already know. And I think, what do I know? Olive oil was 100% oil. And they go, oh, yeah. And they're thinking, and? And that's 100% fat. They go, oh, yeah, yeah. And, it's just as fattening as anything else. And you already know that to make sure you limit the olive oil on your salads. They say, oh, yeah, of course, yeah. You already know that. And you say, you already know that, don't you? They go, yeah. And then you say, I thought so. And they go, yes, so you should. What do they now do? Go back home, tell their wife, stop putting olive oil on my salad, darling. Because now they become the expert. Men like to be the expert. But assume they're expert, assume the knowledge to them, and they get the knowledge. But if you tell them, they'll resist it. If you compliment them, they'll openly say, hey, being a bloke, being a big strong bloke, they go, yeah. You already know the best exercise for chest is the big core bench press, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. And they think, geez, I didn't know that. So you assume, hey George, as you already know, doing crunches doesn't burn any fat off your belly. You already know that, don't you? Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's probably done 50 that morning going, geez, what am I doing? So you want to open up the doors of learning by assuming complimenting the knowledge they don't have, so they now want the knowledge to justify the compliment. Because men are egotistical. You've got to nurture their ego. Build their ego up, then subtly give them information and you give them credit for the information. And they'll feel empowered. Winners, hunters, because hunters know everything, right? So a little communication tip in education. Education and changing habits. So to change the habits, you have to educate them, identify those habits. You need to compliment their achievements on the simple things. And when they do the simple things, applaud the accomplishment. Wow, well done. They go, thank you, Hunter, Lion King of my jungle. I'm the Lion King of my kingdom. So how to change these habits? Number one, education. Get them identifying their habits. Education, always assume the knowledge to them. Habits, get them to identify the habits or empower them to identify the habits. I want you to work out. And I used to get them to think of a stop sign when they come to that opportunity where they're going to have the peanuts with the beer. Stop and ask yourself this question. Am I having the nuts because they're there, or am I having the nuts because I really want the nuts? And the answer to that, if I was thinking about nuts as I was driving to the pub, then have the nuts because you really wanted the nuts. But if you just ate the nuts because they're there or someone offered to you, then think, stop, I'm having them for the wrong reasons. With ladies, the opposite. If they're about to eat a cake, am I having this cake because I really want the cake, or am I having it because I'm upset with my boyfriend? And if you want it because you really want the cake and you're thinking about it, then have the cake and enjoy it. But if you have it for the other reason, it sends to sparking guilt after eating the cake. But understand, blokes have no guilt. They have no guilt, no shame. You look at a woman at the beach going down to the surf, and they have the towel around them. Drop the towel, run into the water. You look at a big fat bloke going down on the surf. He's wearing these little dick stickers, smuggling the budgie or the eagle, with his big belly. Walking down there with his big belly going, yeah. And he rubs the belly. So they don't tend to have that self-body consciousness, which is bad. I mean, it's changing now with a lot of the more metro type blokes coming through the marketplace, which might be another seminar down the track. But with blokes like that, it's more habitual. And they don't know why they got fat. They just think, I just do what I do. Get them, identify, educate them, and they go, wow. And once you've educated them and they start to stalk those habits, then give them things to achieve. And when they achieve, and it's best to get them to achieve the simple things because they're easy, and then applaud when they achieve and they want to do more of those things. Once you've done that, then you can start training them. It's important that you be their buddy. So let me go through some things how to train a fat bloke. Talking about communication and physiology and habits. This is really important, the habits. What they do when you're not around. You have to make them consciously aware of what they're doing when you're not around. and they can make educated decisions on what to do. And give them a trigger point. I always use the stop sign. You know the stop sign? When they're about to do something, stop. So let's have a look at training. These are, let me go through the things not to do, not just for fat blokes, but for all people. Okay, I'm setting up. Exercises not to do for fat loss. Right. Everyone, fingers, point. Right, and what you're going to do is you're going to point at a spot. Spot, go. Spot, say spot. Spot, go. Spot, spot. Again, spot. So any exercise that targets a spot reduction is a bullshit exercise. No, I want to lose fat off my gut, so I'm going to do crunches. Spot, reduce fat off my gut. Spot, that's bullshit. Right? So this is the first one. Next one is any exercise, keep your hands together, that rubs. Rub. Rub is crap. Right? It's crap. So we've got bullshit and we've got crap. That means, you've rubbed the cream on the belly. The fat metabolizing cream, or some of matching. It's called hope in a container, hope in a pill, hope in a cream. All this something is hope, and they mix a little bit of bullshit with a little bit of science with a lot of bullshit, and they come up with something that sounds believable. Right? So that's crap. What is it? Crap. So spot is bullshit, rub is crap. Next one, vibrate. So any exercise that you're going to vibrate the fat off, right, is shit. So what is it? Shit. So we got spot is bullshit, rub is crap, and vibrate is shit. And the next one is a safety one. Any exercise that takes the stress across the joint, go. Across the joint, across the joint, across the joint is manure. Right? So each exercise has a cross joint. So we've got spot, rub, vibrate, and cross. Okay, have a seat. And that is going to wrap up most of the challenges that you'll have. So let's have a look at spot. Spot is, I'm going to do an exercise to take fat off my belly. So ladies, we tend to target the problem spots, side of the grazers and all that. Men, we tend to target their problem spots, which is the gut. So they'll do crunches. So when you do a crunch, what is it? You roll up, and all you're doing is squishing the fat and releasing the fat. Squishing the fat and releasing the fat. This little squish fat exercise, you go squish, 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 squish. How much fat does it burn? Zippity-doo-dah. None. Now fat is like petrol in a petrol tank in a car, and the petrol tank in a car is a set size. And how does petrol get into the petrol tank? You get the nozzle in the petrol station and you put it in that hole in the side of the car, and that's called the mouth. The mouth. There's only one way to get petrol in the petrol tank, right? That's through the mouth. There's only one way to get fat into the fat cell. Which way is that? The mouth. If you're fat, you ate it. It's not your genes or your metabolism or your hormones. You still have to eat the fat to put it in the fat cell. Your revs of the engine might be down due to the aging process, whatever it might be, but you've still got to put fat in the fat cell. So anything outside that, so, well, I got fat because of this. No, you got fat because you ate it. And when you put the petrol in the tank, it goes to the tank. Now, in the body we have not one petrol tank, we have about 40 billion petrol tanks in the called little fat cells. And an obese person can have up to 100 billion fat cells. Now, the difference between a petrol tank in a car and a petrol tank in the fat tank in the body is that when you fill the tank up in the car, it fills up and that's as far as it goes. It doesn't keep expanding until your mini moke turns into a semi-trailer. But the body, our fat cells are very elastic. They're expandable. They're like little water balloons. They just keep filling up and filling up and filling up. Have you noticed that? They keep filling up. Now, there's only one way to put it in. There's only one way to get it out. What's interesting is that you have no choice of where you put it on. Therefore, why do you think you have a choice of where you can take it off? I'm going to eat this cream bun and I'm going to put it on my bicep. You don't have choice. So what makes you think that you can get it off your bicep if you can't put it on the bicep? You don't say, oh, I'm going to it's going to go to my gut, therefore I can get it off the gut. So we tend to target what we call problem areas, the fat areas, thinking that we're going to get the fat off. And we do this exercise up and down. What's it doing? It's squishing the fat, releasing the fat. What you do is a little burning sensation to build up that lactic acid because you're working a small muscle group anaerobically. It means you're using glycogen as a source of energy that, through the process of anaerobic glycolysis, releases the energy anaerobically that releases a byproduct lactic acid that pushes up against the nerve endings and gives a sensation of pain. And we misinterpret that pain as exploding fat cells or building muscle. But it's neither of either. If there's a burn, it means you're not burning fat. You're just building up a lot of lactic acid, which when you stop, it just buffers her out and disperses her out and gets oxidised off. If you came to the gym and you saw me in the gym and I'm in the corner and I'm doing this, wouldn't you think that a little bit odd? So what's Kman doing? Don't do the other arm. And you might be curious enough to come over and say, Kman, what are you doing? Getting fat off the bicep. And I'm building the bicep. You think, mate, you got rocks in your head. What's the difference between this and this? What's the difference? If you do a muscle biopsy, the bicep and the rectus abdominis, it's the same. But because we have an emotion there, and we feel something there, it's called the feel and look principle. Where I feel it, and I can see it, I lose it. Do you have a choice where you take fat off the body? No, it comes off all over. If I have a pool, who here has a pool? You may look at your pool and there's a deep end and a shallow end. And you may say, look, you know, I think there's too much water in the deep end. So you get a bucket, you go to the deep end, and you start taking water out of the deep end. They'll get it. Does that work? No, because when you take water out of the deep end, where's the water comes out? The shallow end. You don't have any choice in the pool where the water comes out, as you don't have any choice in the body where the fat comes off. So, guys, where's the deep end? The deep end is, there's the deep end. Where's the shallow end? Seems to be their legs. Notice that? You see those guys, they got real big bellies, little skinny legs? They look like a straw with a pea in it. And from behind they look normal, they'll turn around and they go, whoop, they've got a belly. Where's the deep end? Where's the shallow end? Up in the face. You have no choice where you take it off. So anything that's called spot reduction is an anaerobic. If you're laying down on the ground to get rid of fat, it's probably the wrong position. You've only got to put the body in its most functional position to express the greatest amount of force and energy expenditure, which is more in the upright type position. And also the abdominal muscle groups don't really function. And what's their main function? Is to stabilise the pelvis and the lower back. In what position? The upright position. So why do we lay down to train the muscles that function in the upright position? It's really silly. It doesn't make any sense. First of all, it doesn't burn fat. So any spot reduction is silly. Next one is rub. See, like a car, if I'm doing crunches is like going out to the car, getting the bonnet of the car and opening and shutting the bonnet. How much petrol do I burn off? None. All I do is wear out the hinges. Oh, I'll get some more. I'll open and shut the door. How much petrol does that burn off? You're working the wrong part. You're spending a lot of time on the wrong part that doesn't burn off what you ought to burn off. If I want to get petrol out of the car, if I rub a cream on the bonnet, does that get rid of the petrol? What are you doing? I'm rubbing the petrol off. So rubbing cream on your skin might feel nice, it might feel good, might satisfy the feel principle. Yeah, it feels something's working. Yeah, something is. Bit of friction, bit of mindset, but it's not burning fat. Next one is a vibration. Yeah. They're quite crazy at the moment, right? Yeah, shake the... Imagine if I went up to my car and start shaking it. What are you doing? Trying to get the petrol out. Put the car into a vibration plate. How much petrol does that get rid of? You hop in and you feel something, but what you're feeling is not related to what you want. Make sure the feel is related to what you want. How do you burn petrol out of the car? You start the car up and you take it driving. The further you drive it, the more petrol you burn. The faster you drive it, the more petrol you burn. The more hills you go up, the more petrol you burn. So if you want to burn off fat off the body, what you get it out of the garage, which is out of bed, off the couch, get it out into the track and start walking, running, and do as much as you can with the time that you've got. If you see a hill, see there's an opportunity to burn petrol. Next one is the stress across the joint. So any movement that takes stress across the joint. See, the body's designed for compression force and traction forces. So you have joints, they're designed for pressing and pulling. Articular cartilage on each end, and they're beautifully designed for shock absorption and traction. They're not designed for forces across the joint that cause shearing forces, so it pushes one bone across the other. If I have a broom, I can compress the broom and it won't break. I can pull the broom and it won't break. But if I put the force across the broom, it breaks. Put the force across the joint, it causes shearing forces, such as bicep curls. Across, tricep, across. Knee extension, across. Lat raise, across. You can probably get away with it when you're 20 because you've got a nice, healthy, lubricated joint. But over time, what happens? Wear and tear, wear and tear, wear and tear. Hence I've got a lot of osteoarthritis through all of those crazy exercises I used to do when I was a bodybuilder, because I was focusing on targeting isolated spots. But when you isolate a movement, you tend to activate the agonist, but you don't co-activate the antagonist to stabilise the joint. And the role of the antagonist is to stabilise the joint with the stabilisers and the synergistic muscle groups to keep the joint in a proper position where the two articulating surfaces are in its right position to distribute the force equally throughout the joint and the range of joints that work with it. So the body's designed to distribute the force equally, not to take stress off, but to distribute it. When you isolate it, there's no distribution. It's isolation of stress going across the joint, which is not designed that way. So I picked the big exercises, not the spot reduction target exercise that many times go across the joint. They lead to tendinitis and osteoarthritis. Hence I've got lots of that now. When I was 20 I could get away with it, but now I'm 25 I'm starting to feel the effects of it. I lost 20 years somewhere in there. Think about if you had your car tyres and your wheel alignment is correct, you can drive the car and those tyres, if the wheel alignment is correct, may last maybe 2 years depending how much you drive it. But if your wheel alignment is not aligned, how long does it take to wear out the tyres in the inner? Not long. You may halve the time, might be only 12 months now. So what you're doing is speeding up the degeneration. The body's naturally going to degenerate anyway with time. But what you don't want to do is to speed up where you're getting joint challenges at 40 when you shouldn't be getting them until 80. But when you're 20, you don't feel it, right? You don't get it, you don't feel it until you get it. So what you do now will affect what you get, whether you're going to be at 80, at 60 or 40. Because it's not the last cigarette someone had that gave them cancer. Now, it's not the first cigarette that gave them cancer. But when they have the first cigarette, they didn't get cancer. They said, well, it didn't give me cancer, I have another one, I have another one. I got away with it, it'll give me another one. It's not the last cream bun that gave you the heart attack. It's not the first cream bun. I got away with it, got away with it. When you get the heart attack, it wasn't the last exercise that gave you osteoarthritis. It's the poor alignment and poor execution and technique of an exercise that put unequal forces throughout the joint or range of joints that cause the accelerated deterioration of the joint that leads to osteoarthritis. So what you do in the early years will determine what you get in your later years. How late, that's going to be up to you. So you start to do dysfunctional type movements, you're going to start to get unequal forces that's going to accelerate that wear and tear in the body. So everyone stand up again, let's go through those four again. First one, we go spot. And we don't want any rub or vibrate or cross. Awesome. Let's see. Okay, so let's have a look at the things to do cardiovascular wise, strength wise for a fat bloke, for anyone in that case. I'll go through some individual circumstances to take into account when you're training them. First of all, if anyone is, remember these guys have been in the pastures for quite some time and they haven't skipped any meals in that time. Actually, the bloke, you can speak very much like that. You know, blokes tend to speak like blokes. If I, see my mate of mine who's putting a bit of weight, you haven't skipped any meals lately, have you? And the blokes get their friend of yours, they don't take it personally. They say, well, you're right. Because it's logical, you see. Oh, well, you're right, because men are logical. And they'll use as the least words as possible to communicate. So you say, haven't you skipping meals, have you? No, piss off. When a lady, on the other hand, will get emotional about it and go, oh my God, I'm not going to ever talk to you ever again, and all of a sudden the whole process goes through. So, men tend to be very logical once you trust them, and you can be very much upfront with them after you trust them. And they know if you care for them, then they won't take it personally. So the first thing with a cardiovascular exercise or huffy puffy exercise, step number one is move. Step number one is move. Everyone stand up. Everyone sit down. Stand up, you wait for it. Everyone sit down. Now let me ask you this, what's it easier to stand up? Was that easy to stand up? It was. It was a little bit of inconvenience for many of you, because many of you are right and going, oh, God, what's Kman do? Get me set up. I'm just getting comfortable here. But what's easier than standing up? Sitting down. What's easier than sitting down? Laying down. What's easier than laying down? Staying down. So in life, you only ever have two choices in life, no matter what part of your life you're in, whether it be personal life, professional life, health life, wealth life. You've only got two choices. You have the easy choice, is the first choice, and the second choice is the easier choice. Which do people tend to take? The easier choice. So if you're overweight, what would be the best thing to do? Sit or stand? Stand. But what do people do? Sit. They go into a room and the first thing they look for is, where can I sit? Now, your body's not designed to sit, it's designed to stand. Because when you sit, your body is in a dysfunctional position. We've got a hip flex, flatten back, post-photic, rounded shoulders, poke neck. But when you stand, we tend to sit now, natural position, anatomical position, that equally distributes force throughout the body. If you go to a shopping centre and there's a flight of stairs and escalator, what do most people take? The escalator. That's the easier choice. What would be the better choice? The stairs. So if you've got a big gut, what's the better choice? Go up the stairs. What's the easy choice? The escalator. What people take? Why men take the escalator? Not because they're constantly thinking about what's the better choice. They just do it because that's just a habit. But if you put that stop sign, escalator, stairs, and we're taking this because I have to, and we're taking this because it's just a habit. What's the better choice? What's the better choice? Is the stairs. Is it inconvenient? Yes. Is it still easy? Yes. Will give a better result? Yes. Inconvenience leads to greater results. So what you want to do is get people to move, look for opportunities to move. Don't look at it as an inconvenience, look at it as an opportunity. There's an opportunity to burn a calorie rather than keep the calorie. Take advantage of burning it, not giving it. Don't give the opportunity to someone else. You need a hand with that? No, thank you. I'm not going to give you my calorie to burn. It's mine. I can get rid of it. Come on, I'll help you. Go away. You stay fat, I'll get thin. So many times we look at ways to make things easier or delegate out. Sometimes it's good to keep the opportunity to ourselves because that's going to lead to long-term results. The average person in society today burns off 800 calories less than we used to over 30 years ago due to labour-saving devices. So what we want to do is get people to make life a little bit inconvenient. It's going to lead to health and wellness. Park away from the shopping centre rather than driving around wasting petrol. You know, you're burning the petrol off, you might as well burn the calories off. What's more? Better, the petrol or the calories? Keep the petrol and get rid of the calories. Walk to the shop, don't drive to the shop. Do it yourself, don't get the kid to do it. Walk the dog. A dog is a fat burning machine. They get you walking through guilt. You learn a lot off a dog. When I get my dogs, I get the leader, what does my dog say? We go for a walk. Hey, good time, we go for a walk. What do people go? Let's go and exercise. Oh, do I have to exercise? I don't really feel very well. Tell me, after exercise, how do people feel? Awesome. Now with the bloke, just get them started. Get them to do something and hey, well done, applaud, and they feel, oh, if they just do something, they're going to feel great because a bloke achieves. Sometimes the achievement's more important than the calories. Because the achievement will empower them to be more of a Lion King, to run the plains, to hunt the game. So move, next one is to move more. Move longer. Now I'm standing up. So you move. Then move more. Walk in the spot. Move more. Fantastic. When they get comfortable with more, and that's as much as they can do in a day or the time frames, then move faster. So you move faster in the time that you got. Once you move faster, then once you get really fast, then you move differently. You've got to move differently. Start move differently. There we go. Okay, have a seat. So step number one, move. Step number two, move more. Move as much as you can in the time that you got. And sometimes you have to wedge your exercise into your life, not wedge your life into the exercise program. Sometimes you have to chunk it up. Tim and the Blokes. I was doing a national tour with Row around Australia with Ida Buttrose, Lisa Carey Kenny and Heather Turlin. It's a Women Empowerment Day and I was invited, being one of the only blokes in the room with 500 women. It was interesting. But after one of the ladies came up and says, I don't have time to exercise, do the huffy puffy stuff. I said, okay, that's very good. Fair enough. Timmy, I'm just curious, if you get up first in the morning, if you go for a 5-minute walk around the blocks? He said, yes. At lunch, did you go for 5 minutes? He said, yes. And the girlfriend says, you could do 10. I said, no, we don't want to have a trainer. In the afternoon, when you get home, before you get ambushed at home by your kids, before you go into the front door, can you go for a walk around the block? He says, yes. Well, there's 15 minutes. 15 minutes times 7 is 105 minutes. The World Health Organisation guidelines for health is 100 minutes. You're 5 minutes over. We've got to start trimming your exercise program. You're doing too much. If I drive a car from here to the Gold Coast and I stop every 10 minutes and I get down there, do I still burn off petrol in the car? Yeah. And sometimes you burn off more petrol if you break up in smaller amounts. Because the smaller amounts, you tend to put more into a small amount than a bigger amount. If I say, hey, we're going for a 10k run, how fast do you start? If I say, let's go for a 1k run, how fast do you start? But if I do 10 1k runs, you tend to do faster in the 1ks to get fitter, burn more energy, cover more distance than you would if you did it one big chunk. So sometimes breaking it up can be an advantage because you tend to put more into less versus putting less into more. It's psychology. And the blokes have to achieve. Even if you have to do 5 minutes, achieve. Look for opportunities to achieve, to move more. If you have to wait 5 minutes for a prescription at the chemist, rather than sitting in the chemist going, say 10 minutes, I'll be back in 10 minutes and walk around the block for 10 minutes. What a great opportunity. How are you going to feel when you walk back? Great! Got a bit of sunshine, vitamin D, you've got a bit of energy, you always feel better, you're a bit slimmer, you burn some calories, you go, hey, today's a great day. If you wait for the chemist, come on, I was first, you'll get cutting in. How do you feel? Agitated! You're always waiting in queues. Don't wait in queues, say, when is it going to be ready, I'll be back. There's an opportunity. And then walk faster and faster. Now, who burns off fat faster? Fit people or unfit people? Fit people. So when you do what you do, put as much as you have in what you do. Put everything you've got in everything that you do. So try to get fitter. Because as you get fitter, your spiritual quotient changes and you turn your body into from a sugar burning machine to a fat burning machine. Because the elite fit people burn fat. So throughout the day, right now, a fit person in this room will be burning more fat than an unfit person. An unfit person will be burning sugar. A fit person will be burning fat. An elite marathon runner runs at 90% plus maximal heart rate, and 90% of the energy they use comes from fat. Because they spare the carbohydrate because they don't have that much. You only got 400 grams, so the body is very efficient at reserving the carbohydrate for when you need it and burn the fat because you've got so much of it. So get people fitter. And here's some little motivational things you can do. Men, they like targets. We're hunters, we like targets. Give them a target. Here's one. You walk around the rock every morning, George. Yes, I do. Okay, what I want you to do is just when you go for a walk this time, just time it. And just write in your diary. And that's all you have to say. That's all you have to say. And they'll come back and they'll write down 48 minutes. And when they go tomorrow, guess what they're going to do? They'll beat it. And when they come back and they do it in 47 minutes, how do they feel? Achieve hunter! Lion King. It doesn't take very much. You don't even have to communicate with blokes. I've got a colleague of mine at the moment who's losing weight. The only thing I get him to do is to email me his waist measurement on a Friday. That's all. There's no communication, no chatting, no talking, no nothing. Just a number comes through my email on a Friday. Doing that for a number of months. Lost 16 centimetres around the waist. Blokes, it's easy. You just give them a target. Because they hate to fail. But they'll fail if there's no measurement. They'll hold themselves accountable to a number because they just want to achieve. So give them a target to achieve in the cardiovascular. Get them timing little walks or runs. Get them beating it. You don't have to say, I want you to beat it. You just got to set the target and they actually want to do it anyway. That's just a blokey thing they do. They move differently. Look at other ways to move for them which they really enjoy. Because most blokes used to play a bit of sport in their youth. And they were always greater champions than what they really were, but they remember being greater champions and they want to be champions. So find what to do and do different things. Whether it be paddling or boxing or stuff like that, because it makes it interesting. Get them to relive their childhood. Relive. Every time I put the gloves on, I relive myself when I was a professional fighter. You know, it takes a bit while to warm up, but I remember I'm back in the ring. Put me on a bike. If you're a bike rider, would love the bike. Then give them a target. Interval training is brilliant because interval training breaks it up into little blocks. The great thing with interval training, here's the principle of philosophy of cardiovascular. When you go for a run, how fast do you run the home straight? very fast. So you always keep people in the home straight. And you do that whenever it works. So if I say, for example, I'll share a routine, I might do 1 minute fast, 1 minute slow, 1 minute fast. So every home straight is 1 minute. So I've got 1 minute fast, but I know after that minute I've got 1 minute recovery. So almost my whole life is only looking 1 minute ahead, not 20 minutes ahead. 20 minutes ahead is like, oh my gosh, that's a long time. Oh, half an hour, that's a long time. But 1 2 minute blocks, all you focus on is the next 1 2 minutes. Before you know it, time goes really fast because all you're focusing is the next step, not the whole journey. The whole journey is too far, too long. So doing interval work is really powerful stuff, because the interval work breaks it down into those little fitness sessions. We covered with that recovery session. Everyone stand up. Grab your chair. Pick up your chair. And put it down. Awesome. Have a seat. Okay, so from a huffy point of view, you've got move more, move fast, move differently. Strength training point of view. Number 1, lift. Look for opportunities to lift. Get strong throughout the day. Take the opportunity to get strong to build the muscle throughout the day. Don't put your shopping in the trolley where you wheel it. Carry the shopping in your hands. What does it make you? Strong. Don't ask someone else to lift it. Lift it yourself. When I had to move stuff from the Guiding College to here, I couldn't get anyone to help me because they were all doing different things. So we had the facilities next door, and I was carrying chairs and boxes up the stairs. All I kept thinking is, getting stronger. I'm getting stronger. At the end of the night, I was completely stuffed, but I felt really good because all my muscles have been activated. What do most people do? Get a removalist. No, why would I make the removalist have a great body when I can take the opportunity myself? Don't pass the benefit on to someone else. Take the opportunity yourself and claim the benefit. Again, it's a different way of thinking. It's not an inconvenience, it's an opportunity to lose fat, burn calories, and a great opportunity to get stronger. So number 1, lift, then lift more. Look for more opportunities to lift. Take your wheels off the wheelie bin and carry it to the front. Look at that bloke carrying the wheelie bin. See, in life, we always try to make things easier. What I want you to do is to do the same task, make it harder so you can... Because back in hunter-gatherer days, we had to hunt and gather and carry logs and break branches. And we did it naturally anyway. We didn't have gyms and PT studios back then, but guys were strong. And so were women, because you had to do it yourself, called manual labour. So put more manual labour into your day. Lift, then lift more. Next one is lift heavier. But obviously when you get to the heavy part of it, that's where obviously the technique's really important. So when you get to that plan lifting, then you have to go to a gym where you can set a base, stable base, to lift a heavier weight, such as bench and all that bit. And that's where they come to the personal training studio or a health club to do that. But the goal is to lift more. Lift more. Get people strong. Get blokes strong. Because remember, blokes, fat blokes, internally are still Lion Kings. And they still think that way. They still think they're Lion King. They just carry a bit of extra buffet with them. So with a bloke, you want to keep it really simple. And the most important thing in weight training or any training session with a bloke, whether it be cardiovascular or strength work, is they have to become competent and confident in what they do. So keep it simple and make them great at the simple things, not average at the complicated things. You put a bloke onto a football and they're sort of trying to stabilise, and there's no measurement of strength or performance. Yes, the process is complicated, but there's no actually sense of achievement. They just feel like a clown in the circus balancing on a balancing ball. A seal balancing a ball on their nose. So it's not about stability, just get them strong, because men love to be strong. It's not about trying, hey, let's all focus on your stability. Well, you don't want to be the most stable weakling in the tribe. Because if you get strong, what happens to your stability anyway? When you're lifting heavy weight, believe me, all your stabilisers are firing. They're working their backside off to keep those joints stable. So they're not, if you're on a balancing act, yeah, they're working in a specific manner, but not in a high frequency manner. So keep it really simple. Don't complicate it, keep it simple and make them achieve. And how do you achieve? Measurement. Number of reps, weight lifted. Always make sure they finish on a high note. What's the best thing about golf is if at the last hole, you play great. If their last shot is brilliant, you always come back. Make sure their last shot is great. If they're doing cardiovascular, their last sprint is, if they're boxing. If someone does the last 10 punches and they don't quite connect, I always get them to do it again, because I want them to finish with, that's no way to finish a fight. You want to finish the fight with a flurry. You want to finish the run with a sprint. You want to finish the step-up step. You want to finish the weights with the strength. Okay, yes, I'm powerful in that. How good's that? I'm the hunter. And get them doing the little things and get them achieving the simple things and acknowledge their achievements and applaud their achievements, and they want to do more of those achievements. So lift heavier, lift more, lift heavier, lift stronger. So to wrap that up, at the end, you want to make sure that guys, when they go into their program, that the first is that they recognise where they are and take responsibility. And that foundation is all the foundation of communication, education, and identification. Communication, education, and identification. Communication means you build the relationship to get the trust. Education, you give them the education to make a decision. And identification is to identify where they need to apply that decision to. I'm fat. I recognise that. I recognise that. I take responsibility of that. And I trust you through communication. I know what to do through education. And I know that I have to identify to get rid of this gut. Then you get them to take action. Action that leads to achievement that you acknowledge. Wow, what a great bench press. That you applaud. Well done. Wow, you are so strong. Guys, love to be nurtured. Girls, you just say, wow, you're so strong. And they go, wow, a beautiful young girl like Amy said I'm strong. Wow, I'm still the Lion King, because the lioness thinks I'm the Lion King, and I'll keep trying to impress the lioness. If a bloke's on the bench press and anybody walks by and looks at them, what do you think happens to their performance on the bench press? Let alone a pretty young girl. Whoa! The testosterone levels go up. If a bloke goes by, oh, another lion's checking me out. Hey, trying to take over my kingship. I'll scare them off with a recognition, responsibility, so they can take action. That you will acknowledge and applaud for their achievements towards their target. The target is a goal. You have the measurable steps to accomplish a goal. Achievement is little achievements leading to one big achievement in the direction of that target through training. Recognition, responsibility. Action for achievement that acknowledges and applaud towards a target by training. It's called the rat. And if you put communication in it via the process of a root, you got a root rat. So what I want you to remember is a root rat. Say a root rat. Say I'm a root rat. Got it. Say with passion. I'm a root rat. I'm a root rat. People say you're a root rat. Yes, I am. I'm a root rat. I acknowledge, I respect, I accept, I understand, and I touch. And through that process of being a root, I can help people recognise their position, take responsibility of their position, so they can take action to achieve that I acknowledge and applaud. So they go towards achieving their target through my training. I am a root rat. Go out there and be a root rat to the fat guys, and I love you because they always come back to the root rat. Have a fantastic day. Give yourselves a clap.